Waiting for my husband's friend Durwood. Durwood was supposed to come by this morning and he has not shown up, so we'll see. Anyway, I wanted to rant a little bit this morning because I got up yet again. Let me introduce myself to those of you who don't know me. I know everybody who comes here usually does, but my name is Suzanne Titkemeyer. I wrote for Pathos for almost 10 years. For No Longer Quivering was the name of the column I wrote. I wrote about fundamentalist religion and Quiverful. Now I don't do that. I write for myself. Hey, Spicy Pizza. And hey, everybody else. Anyway, so I wrote for myself now. I've got all these different projects I'm working on. Some of them I'll be able to tell you about. Hey, that Amber chick. Here's the deal. Anytime I say anything, even the slightest bit critical of Without a Crystal Ball, I have her stands will contact me and say, well, you're just mad that she stood you up. No, I was never really mad, hurt, yes, disappointed. I would say I was even kind of emotionally crushed. And I'm going to explain why today. This is going to be the last time I talk about this because, again, it's getting silly. I'm disabled. So disabled now that I'm running around with a cane and with a nice little placard on my car that lets me park close to the stores. Good morning, Maria. I park next to the stores. It is what it is. I have mast cell disorder, mast cell activation disorder. I've probably had it my entire life, I'm being told. I was born with very severe asthma. I used to stop breathing as a baby. They had me on all the alarms. I have to breathe at night with oxygen and a machine, okay, that stimulates me to breathe when I stop. Apparently, I've had that for some years too, and I've been treated for sleep apnea as part of this for the last 20 years. So when you see me, I'm the road show. A Spicy Pizza, more and more people are being diagnosed with it. Mine started as what they thought was severe asthma and breathing problems. Through the years, I have had just a laundry list of weird reactions to things. My husband can tell you I'm allergic to a lot of some fruits and vegetables. I'm allergic to just about every single chemical preservative they use in foods and that they use in many products like makeup or shampoo. So when I am reactive, I might be washing my hair with baking soda, which I won't react to, and living on brown rice, butter, and chicken. You do what you got to do to turn it off. I mean, I have a really close friend that also has symptoms of this. So anyway, but I still managed to have a life. It's just more difficult because of this. But I've been dealing with this and had an actual full diagnosis for 15 years. Just about the time that I left Fundy Town, I've been able to figure out what I need to do to have a life. I'm not upset with being disabled. It is what it is. But it does take me extra time to do things. Example, that day with Katie Joy. I was in the middle of having a very bad asthma episode. Last year, during the beginning of the pandemic, I had a terrible, terrible time with my asthma. Starting towards the end of the end of the beginning of the pandemic, probably late March, through about maybe August, I just had this terrible time with it. I hadn't had one like that since I'd moved to Costa Rica. And I was freaking out because I was already on all the drugs except for chemotherapy. And to get the chemotherapy agents that they used to give me in the States to turn off my asthma, it takes some doing here. Nobody wants to give it to you. My regular doctor said that the laws in Costa Rica say that a specialist has to give it to you and they have to monitor you. And so I've had to jump through some hoops just to try to get a simple bottle of methotrexate, which I've taken before many times for my asthma. So I have this laundry list of drugs, depending upon what day is what and what I'm doing. If it's a good day, I'm just taking very little. I'm taking my sodium cromulin in 2 different forms and taking a handful of other things. Add in the possible Mast diagnosis, now you got more drugs. It is what it is. And these people that tell me, oh, don't take drugs, drugs are bad for you, you'll never get healed unless you get supplements. Honey, you can go sit and spin, because I've been through that, did that when I was in my fungi town religion. I was quite ill and did all the supplements and prayed to be healed. Did not have a diagnosis at that time. Certainly not mast cell. So anyway, last year, horrible asthma, horrible. Katie Jo asked me to do a live with her. We pick a date and a time. Yeah, they are lifesavers. They really are. It makes such a difference. Injectable Benadryl was a life changer for me. And so was Xolair, which I was on for 8 years, 8 blessed, wonderful years that got me to being not as sick as I used to be. It actually helped quite a bit. If I ever go back to the States, I'm going to request a biologic again, because that was the best thing ever. I am having more good days than bad days. Praise the Lord, sweet tea and family. It's just the pesky walking thing, but that is what it is too. So whatever. Anyway, I'm more concerned with my asthma even than my walking. So when she asked me, told her, I said, I'm having quite a lot of asthma. So I'm going to have to get up early and medicate. To do something like that would require me getting up. I forgot what time she said, like 10 a.m. my time, 9 a.m., somewhere in that time frame. That required me getting up at 6 a.m., pushing double meds. Now, let me tell you, when you push double the meds on the inhalable stuff, on the nebulizer treatments, you're going to be doing like this. So I had to push in double the meds just to be able to do this, to be able to get a few minutes, because I told her, I said, I do not know what length of time I will have breath and to be able to have brain cells to be able to speak. Now, when my asthma's good, you're going to see I'll be on here a fair amount. When it's bad, I disappear. And I do 5-minute videos because I can't really talk that long. I run out of air. I run out of brain cells. It's an ugly, ugly sight. And so that morning, I got up at 6 a.m. I pushed the drugs heavily. I did double. I got dressed. I combed my hair. I cannot, sweet tea, I can't do steroids because I was born with asthma and I have had a lifetime of steroids. I'm now steroid intolerant. I'm one of those weirdos. Apparently, if you have it as long as I have, you either become steroid intolerant or you become steroid dependent. I'm on the intolerant. So for me, they will sometimes try a little teeny tiny bit of steroids to see if I'm still intolerant, and so far it hadn't been good. The worst one was when I had my back injections and they injected my back full of steroids. It worked. It turned off a lot of the problems I was having, but oh my God, did I have side effects? Was I in and out of the ER? Oh, hell yeah, it was awful. It was ugly. So I can't do steroids. Not at all. So here we are. I'm getting dressed, trying to put at least a little makeup on my face, even though I'm wheezing while I'm doing it. So I get all dressed up and I PM her and say, hey, I'm here. Crickets. I try to PM her a handful of times. She doesn't answer. Never answered. I don't know why. By the end of the day, I just said, the hell with this. And I blocked her. And I was hurt because when you have a disability, you have to go jump through so many stupid, go to the States, I contacted the airlines and I need wheelchairs from the minute I come on the airport property till I leave an airport property. I need wheelchairs. There needs to be no peanuts on the flight. I mean, I have my list of things that I have to have when I fly. So my husband could tell you I am was that Durwood? I am very, 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 very super organized with all that because I have no other thing. Oh, that Amber chick. Then you're one of the few I've met besides myself that is steroid intolerant. You tell people that and they look at you like you got 3 heads. I have this young little doctor at the clinic. I try not to see him because he's probably 30 maybe. The first time I started mentioning mast cell, he had to look it up he had to look that shit up on Google to see what it was and to see why I was having I hate it so much too because steroids turn stuff off like that. He has to look it up. He has many times had to look this up. And I keep telling him I don't have high blood pressure. I have mast cell blood pressure that goes up and down. When it goes up, I'll treat it with the pressure pills I have, but most of the time it's low. I had to prove that to him with my blood pressure cuff. The same thing with my blood sugar. It does this number. So, guess what I do? Yeah, I prick my finger every couple times a day usually because, and the oxygen, a pulse ox. These are tools that are good at telling you where you are, but he didn't know any of that. Now he does. And I try only to see the head doctor because she's my age. She's got experience. She's seen it all. And she's worked with me to get medications that aren't common here, like sodium cromulin. She's worked with me, and I adore her. She's quite nice. But of anybody, I would have expected Katie Joy to understand that. She has a child with medical complications. She should know that if you have certain things, it just takes you longer. Run to the grocery store here? No. A trip to San Jose to see a specialist? Yes. Because that also involves different things, and I usually fly there. It's $70 to fly, and it's a 5-hour drive. It does dive randomly sometimes, Bob and Carrie Kennedy. That's one thing I've learned. I've learned that those things do like this. So I make sure I check. And I know when I feel a certain way, it's going to be a certain way. It's going to be high. It's going to be low. It's going to be whatever. So I guess what I'm saying is I was more hurt and disappointed with the fact that someone with a child with various medical problems could not understand that she put me behind the 8 ball when she did that. Because I had to double med, I had to pay the consequences of that later that day and the same day. And it was not good. I ended up in the bed. So UVA. UVA. I've got to tell you something, sweet tea. I love UVA. UVA was the first one to diagnose me back in the late 90s with the sleep apnea thing. That's when their sleep apnea lab was the most janky thing you've ever seen. It was 4 procedure rooms. Then you'd have to sleep there on one of their little things, their little carts. It was a mess. But UVA has some really good doctors. I've been going there off and on for years. When I left the States, I had switched my pulmonologist to a critical care pulmonologist there because my wonderful pulmonologist, UVA, had pushed him out of where I lived and I could no longer see him. He moved towns even and would run into him every now and then in the greater DC area. I still miss him. He's wonderful. The right doctor makes all the difference in the world. UVA was good, but I'm going to tell you something. Who the people who straightened me out the most were Johns Hopkins. I started going to Hopkins for a stretch. The most useful thing for me was occupational therapy. I know that doesn't sound like it would go with mast cell, but it does. Because one of the issues I had was when I would have a severe allergic reaction and would go into severe asthma, my vocal cords would slam shut every time and I'd black out. It looked gnarly when that was going on. I think she is entitled. So they taught me how to breathe to prevent that from happening. And that made all the difference in the world. Not blacking out took the scary component away. I quit even having panic attacks. I'd been having pretty horrible panic attacks up until that point with every reaction I was having. And part of that is chemical, but part of it also is whatever is going on in your body. Being able to breathe, it is the best. Yeah, we do have things in common, sweet tea, and UVA is one of them. Hopkins was another piece of the puzzle for me, the occupational therapy, and they put me on medical marijuana, which actually turned out to be the best thing ever. When I'm having a lot of reactive times, I can pop an edible, and guess what? Boop, my windpipe opens. I don't know. Johns Hopkins, yeah, I'm keeping quite well now. I'm doing much better than I have been. Another piece of the puzzle to me that I really realized recently is, yeah, I got all my drugs under my desk. I know it's an odd place to keep it, but it's Lyrica. For some reason, Lyrica has helped my asthma that I don't even understand. And I've gone online and read all the research papers at the National Institutes of Health. They have tried it to ease asthma and with not being conclusive that it helped or not. Well, it's helping me. So I actually have more tools now than I ever did before with this. I have more tools even than when I had my situation without a crystal ball. I have a lot more tools than I've ever had before. I'm a lot more proactive about measuring all my vitals to figure out where I am every single day. That has made a tremendous amount. And I think one of the things that has helped a lot, Lyrica helped your Crohn's. That's awesome. It does help a lot of different things. I was saying, I'm having a side effect from it, but I'm sweating like crazy. But I'm hoping that will ease eventually. And everybody has their weird little side effects. What I'm hoping is that all of this eventually figure out, because to this day, they don't have a lot of data on mast cell. I've seen a mast cell doctor in Savannah, Georgia, who's supposedly an expert. It took me 9 months to even get him to look at my records, much less to see me as a patient. I saw him once or twice. He's advised UVA and Hopkins on how to help me. So that's been good. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that that without crystal balls, entitlement would rub someone the wrong way as a mod, as a viewer, as what? Like I said, I was never really a view of hers. I would sometimes watch her once in a great while, but most of the time, no, I just never have had the time to sit down and watch these hour-long videos. I just don't have the time. Sometimes I will play a video or a podcast while I'm doing something ultra boring like folding clothes, and I'm getting ready to fold clothes and do laundry today, so I'm going to switch on the podcast. I know that Michael Cohen just did one that I want to hear that's about the Marjorie Douglas Stoneman. I'm confused this morning. Shootings with several of the survivors. I want to hear that. No, Bob and Carol. Carrie. Unfortunately, medical marijuana is not a thing here. Now, I do read the local papers and they are talking about it now. But here's the interesting thing about Costa Rica. Marijuana is not legal in any way, shape, or form. Every single time I go to town, I have to push off people trying to sell it to me. I mean, it's impossible to walk through Tamarindo without somebody saying, cocaine, marijuana, chicas, chicas, girls. Uh, it's everywhere here. The local police do not bust gringos with it. It's rare they'll touch a gringo with weed. How rare is it? Well, what I do here for my edibles, because I can't smoke it, is I go to the Thursday night market in Tamarindo, and there's a wonderful lady there, and lady about my own age that makes brownies and edibles, and I buy them. She sells them openly. She's got a sign and everything, and the police don't touch her. So I take those edibles home. I pretty much figured out what her strength is, and I cut them up into like 16 or 20 or whatever. And if I get where I have to have one, I'll take a little crumb of it and put the rest in the freezer. Uh-huh. Thanks, sweet tea, but I don't think that's really necessary. I think that she's paying the price right now for some of her bad behavior. I believe that they are in mediation right now, trying to figure out a way forward. And I suspect that this whole thing with Tati is going to cost her a fortune before it's all over. No matter how she tries to pretend she's got money, I think that she has been to the mountain and seen the elephant. And we're going to see, I mean, she's attacking Duggars and celebrities now. I'm not seeing her attack Salty and whoever as much now. It's only illegal if you got caught. That Amber chick, I got to tell you a crazy story about that. When they first started giving me edibles, and I had not smoked pot in many, many years. And looking back, when I was a heavy pot smoker, I never had any asthma at all. So anyway, they give me my edibles, and I would have to drive from Maryland through D.C. to my home in Virginia. D.C. and Virginia, it was illegal as hell, even edibles. So I would be on the Beltway freaking out, driving my car, going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Don't pull me over, don't pull me over, don't pull me over, please, don't pull me over. I swear I'm not a stoner. So it was always a scary thing for me. I just always freak out. But I'm one of these people that if a cop gets behind me, I immediately feel guilty, even though I've done nothing, and freak out. So I'm just one of those. But eventually DC made it 100% legal. So I knew I wasn't going to be busted driving through DC, and Virginia started loosening their laws on it. So I was like, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. Yeah, that Amber chick. That is a scary, scary thing to be driving through. Oh, I am too. A lot of web. I'm sorry, I can't see where the damn today. It's whatever. But yeah, I think that a lot of people have woken up about her. I think she gets as much hate watches as she gets people that do watch her. I said the other day that I had figured out that she has a certain demographic of people that watches her. She has a lot of hurt people that have all kinds of have mental problems and have severe childhood trauma. And it just breaks my heart for all of them because they're all looking for a solution, and it's not going to be there, unfortunately. It would be different if she actually was helpful. Aaron, I am jealous. You've got a dispensary right across the street. I don't have that. I have to wait for the Thursday night market, and it is Thursday. So guess who is taking their their sales to the night market? Me. Because I'm completely out now, even though I'm not having asthma, and I somehow got through, and that's how I figured out about the Lyrica. In the States, the middle of August to late August is a danger time for me. My oxygen levels tank. I get real sick with asthma for no reason. Costa Rica, my August here is late March, early April. Guess what? I sailed through this year with just minimal asthma. And I'm still trying to figure out why. And I figured out eventually the only thing that had changed was Lyrica. The weather didn't change. The dust outside didn't change. Nothing changed in the equation but what they were giving me. So that's when I started looking for all the studies where they had all these claims that people said that it was helping them. And the studies were inconclusive, but hey, if it works for me, I'm really happy with it. I know it's like walking on egg. Pathos. And I was constantly having to deal with her complaining about the other authors at Pathos. She was always complaining about our editor. She complained left and right about everybody else there. She wanted to be acknowledged as being such a great writer, but she could not ever be happy for anybody else. She couldn't have any chill. All the attention had to be on her. I wish I'd saved all those conversations with her where she was talking shit about everybody at Pathos, because she was. And I just told her, it's like, well, people at Pathos have their favorites. So those are the people that get the bulk of the attention. I told her that. I was right up front about it. And it had little to do with who had the greatest hits, I think. But the thing that she never caught on to is she was never involved in the back chat. We always had what I would call I always call it back chat, but it was like a back end chat that all of the authors on our particular division, we all participated in it. We all griped about things. We all laughed about things. We would talk about new changes. It was all sorts of stuff. And our editor was on there too. She never participated in any of that. And I think that was to her detriment. You have to make friends and get along with people. Now, granted, writing is a very competitive field, and there was some competition, some friendly, healthy competition, and there were people I did not like. Like there's one of the writers who's used a column in order to pull in college students to have sex with. I think he's disgusting, but I don't have to deal with him any longer. So because she could not get along and play the game and could not be friendly to others, it really shot her in the foot there. And when she started changing her topic from what they'd signed her up for, I think it really doomed her there. When you sign up there, you agree to write about certain things, and changing the topic is usually not a good idea. Now, you can swerve what you're doing. I had to do it a number of times. At one point, I went from using other people writing to doing exclusively writing because there was the change with how Google calculated hits, and we were all told we could not use anybody else's writing. And if we wanted to quote a writer, we had to take a screen cap and show it and all this. So there were changes that came down, but because she wasn't in our little back chat, she didn't see or hear any of that. She was just going on her own way, and I guess that's how she is. She doesn't understand being cooperative in a community for the good of everybody. She has no clue about that. She has no clue what it takes other people to do. I can only say that it has to be traced back to her childhood trauma. She's talked about her father and how he traumatized her. I don't know how true that is, but I would not be surprised if that's what happened and she's stuck in that trauma. If you don't deal with childhood trauma, it will overtake your life. I did have a physician that I worked for when I first got super sick with this, who told me I was a hypochondriac. I'm laying in the bushes, throwing up, not able to breathe because somebody has used compressed air around me, and he's telling me I'm a hypochondriac. My coworkers are pushing me in the wheelchair across the parking lot to the ER, and he's screeching that I'm a hypochondriac. He fired me for having an asthma attack one day. Said he wasn't putting up with that drama anymore. And I sued and won. You can't do that. Oh, I can't wait. Ellie's Web, I can't wait to see that. I love art. I do art here myself. I haven't put much of it online, but I love it. I love seeing all the different art people do. I've got a lot of different art links that I follow on Facebook. My favorite one actually is Chronic Crafters. It's all about doing arts when you're on marijuana, which I don't do, but except for when I'm doing it for my asthma. But it's a pretty interesting place. People come up with all kinds of creative things. She seems to be really slow in realizing she's not the center of attention. My mom asked if KJ is an only child. No, she is not an only child. She has at least one brother. She's talked about that. I don't know what the age gaps are, though. That's the only thing, because if the age gap is great, then it would be like her being the only child. And I don't even know if she's the eldest or he is. But there is a brother. That's why I say this all relates back to trauma, the way she behaves, the way she can't interact with anybody, the way she can't play nice, the way she can't get on. And she's been run out of so many communities that I've seen. I mean, back when I knew her, she was always starting new Facebook groups. She'd like to add me as a moderator, and I would just very quietly unjoin and take myself off. Just because, A, I didn't have any interest in the topic. B, I had my own Facebook groups. I didn't really need to add any more because I knew I'd be on Facebook all day. And that's pretty crazy. She doesn't want to get along with him. Aaron, that is an interesting thought. I don't know why she would not want to get along with her sibling or her father or anything else. I don't get it. You know, my mother she's 81 now, a raging racist, a Trump supporter, and so many things that I find distasteful. I don't even find her being a Trump supporter that distasteful. That's just politics. Except when she calls me up and tries to tell me she hates Nancy Pelosi. I'm like, I'm not real crazy about her either, Mom. You're mistaken. You're thinking that I am. So there's that. But anyway, even with her racist self and so many things she does, and she likes her wine. I'm just going to come right out and say it. I don't call her after a certain part in the day, because when she drinks, she becomes angry and confrontational, and I don't do well with that. I will talk to her earlier in the day. I'll listen to her. I even listen to her racist rants and various things, and just don't take offense at it. I don't know why people feel like they got to fight with their families. You don't have to make your family believe the same way you do. Life would be boring if we all believe the same way. I have friends that don't even believe the same way as I do. And I have to laugh because we got a new gardener, just tried to give me a come to Jesus because it's the end of the world as we know it, and convert me to Seventh-day Adventism, I think it was. And he just does not know what my history is with cult-like churches. It's not anything I'm really open to at this point. I do go to church, but something that is a little looser than that. Pelosi's comment on George Floyd was so awkward. Spicy Pizza, I agree. I don't really care for her either. But there are some politicians I like better than others. I mean, I would have loved to have seen Elizabeth Warren as president. I want to see a female president who has common sense and can get stuff done. I don't care what political party she calls herself. I am hoping in my lifetime I get to see that. I never thought I would see an African-American president, and that happened. Oh, yes. She does see theatrics. Yes, she does. She's been in a lot of parenting groups, Sweet Tea. I've seen her in a lot of parenting groups. And here's the shame for her, the shame of all of this for her. If she had really been an advocate for the parents of special needs children or those with special medical needs. She could have really done a lot of good. She could have been internet famous. She could have done just as well, if not better, than what she's done so far. And nobody would be suing the crap out of her for lying about them. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. And it's really sad. It's a missed opportunity there that she chose not to go that way. I still hope that she will. I think she could do a lot of good. Common sense, yes. I see a president with common sense, a female one. And yeah, so we may see that in our lifetimes. I hope. I really hope. And the guy who's in there now, I'm not really excited about him. We really need a change. I really think it's time for somebody with some common sense who can get some things done. And I'm not sure he's it. So now you know my history with Without a Crystal Ball, and the depths, the lengths I went to attend her little live thing, and how it impacted me since I'm disabled now. Disabled. Yeah, I'd love to have so many things I would love to do. Special needs children. I would like to see somebody rise up and do that. Do a video, do whatever, and explain, because unless you've had to deal with a feeding tube and the various things surrounding your child every single day, it can be hard. I remember when my daughter first got ITP, how badly I was freaking out. I could have used somebody coming alongside of me saying, okay, it's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Your child is here at UVA. They're going to treat her. It would have been nice. When my daughter had ITP at UVA, UVA is a teaching hospital, University of Virginia hospital. One of the only things I don't like about UVA, and I'm just going to come right out and say it, because it is a teaching hospital, if you have anything odd, they'll take every resident and intern and medical student traipsing through your room at all hours of day and night. I've experienced that. I've experienced awkward pelvic exams with a whole room full of them. I think the weirdest one of all times was they wanted to do a barium enema to make sure I had no scar tissue, not opening and closing, because I was having diverticulitis at the time. And there I am, buck ass naked, butt up to the world, except for a little gown around my shoulders, surrounded by a bunch of hot young medical students, male medical students, who are manipulating me, and I have the hose in my ass and put me in weird positions, and I'm just turning beet red the entire time, just so incredibly embarrassed. I said, hey, this is not how this dream is supposed to go at all. So I truly would have wet myself if I saw Salts was on the opposition, and he is a huge elephant. He is an elephant. He's the biggest one I've ever seen. I like Salt. He can be salty, but he can be very classy too. And I like the way he's treated some of the witnesses who've given him declarations. Now, I'm not happy that Lorianne Barnhart turned around and pissed on him. I think that was very poorly done, but not unexpected. Yeah, it was pretty funny, Amber. Looking back, I've laughed so hard about that now, but at the time it was pretty embarrassing. Very embarrassing. Next time I have to have that done, I'm going to ask for a Xanax, because that was just too much. UVA, that is a great school. And I can imagine Cleveland Clinic is that way. UVA, Hopkins, somewhat that way. when they tried to get my vocal cords to close by using cleaning supplies and things, they had a crowd of medical students in there, and it was extremely, extremely uncomfortable. I understand it. The doctor I was seeing was an ENT that sees opera singers and is considered an expert on vocal cords. And I was in there with him. I know that they have to learn. That's the only reason I've ever put up with that at these different places. Yes, Aaron, did you not see when Lorianne Barnhart was interviewed by Leslie Bass? She said a lot of nasty things about salts and the way she was treated. She said a lot of nasty things about Brown and the way she was treated. She said she lied on her declaration to salts. To me, that was the most shocking thing because, Salts was vindictive. He could probably have her prosecuted for lying under oath. So why would you even admit that publicly? It's like, I know my brain doesn't work all the time, but I don't get it. Why would you ever say that? Ellie Swap, I don't understand much about Lorianne Barnhart, why she would do that. No wonder Brown was freaking out over Salt's declaration being 180 degrees from what she was telling him. Yeah, Aaron, go watch. I believe that Lorianne Barnhart and KJ are peas in a pod. They're very similar. When she gave that interview, I believe that she had to be in touch with KJ because it was spun in such a way to make KJ look like the victim here, that they were all just using and abusing her. And we all know the truth of that. Yeah, she's not the brightest. I thought about that too. I thought, if you're going to sue somebody, hire Salts. Spend the money, hire Salts. Because he's clearly, I'm sure he cost a fortune, but he's the kind of lawyer you want on your side. Wow, Aaron, even your brother, the attorney in New Jersey, has heard about him? That's crazy. Well, he's involved in that Google lawsuit, I think. So I'm not real super surprised that he's heard of him. He's involved in a couple of high-profile cases right now, I think. So it's kind of funny that he took Tati's little spanking of a small video blogger. Lorianne Barnhart has a profound lack of self-identity in who she is. Absolutely, I agree with that. That was the thing I picked up. Maybe she had trauma as a child. I don't know. Because if you have significant trauma as a child, it can stop your emotional growth at that point, and you never go beyond that. And she strikes me as a teenager, like a middle schooler in a grown-up's body, which is how I would describe KJ as well. You have all these petty feuds and rivalries and silliness and running around and saying X, Y, and Z. I just don't have any time for that. Oh, he has worked for them before. I'm a fan of Queen Levine, too. I think she is pretty awesome. And she's gorgeous. She just is. And that was the other thing about the trial I couldn't get over. Every time I looked at pictures of Tati, because I didn't know who she was, because I don't follow the makeup beauty, I was just amazed at how naturally beautiful she is. Even in the videos where she's wearing minimal makeup, she's just stunningly gorgeous. So there's that. Yeah, Aaron O'Kelly, go to LB's channel. It's there. And I watched most of it, but towards the end I had to ditch because I was finding my blood pressure was going up. I was like, oh, no, I can't get drug into this. I don't want to get drug into this. It was bad. It was one of the worst things I've seen in a long time having to do with this case. And it doesn't help. It doesn't help Catherine's case at all, I think, if this goes back to trial, which I doubt very much it will now. I think they're still trying to patch things up with a settlement. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it does help. OT is the best thing ever. If they prescribe it for you for some condition, go. It does help. It does help. When I had my carpal tunnel surgery years ago, the therapy wasn't that helpful because I was immediately back to using my hands and suffering no long-term effects. But this was different, and this worked a lot. This worked well. I still have my vocal exercises that I do every single day. I quit singing during the pandemic. I haven't sung professionally since then. I tried to go back to it. My voice is not what it used to be, so I am hanging up. I'm hanging up singing. I'm not doing that anymore. I've done that for years. So, and I'm not even teaching vocal lessons any longer. So that's a part of my life that I've had to shut the door on because of the pandemic and because this has really messed with the vocal cords. I don't have the voice that I once had. Anyway, I should go. I've been rambling for 45 minutes. I'm starting to ramble more than I've been on this Lyrica. So I guess it helps me be a little more loose and talk better. So who knows? Y'all have a great Thursday. I got 50 trillion loads of clothes to wash, dry, and fold.